Hey everyone, Michelle Freer here, Member of Parliament for Peterborough-Kawartha, and I'm in Prince Edward Island. I was invited out by this guy, Jamie Fox. He's running to be the Member of Parliament for Malpeque. He was Provincial Minister for Fisheries and former police chief, done lots of work. You know lots about the carbon tax as well. But you know, he invited me out to PEI because he said, Michelle, I know your files, families, children, social development. So we visited some food banks. We just came from Charlottetown Police. We met with 3 survivors of sexual assault who were re-traumatized, re-victimized by the failed Liberal soft on crime policies, where criminals have more rights than victims. And you know, I've said this to you, Jamie, when things are bad in PEI, that's when you know you need a massive shift in government. Because, what did you tell me? For the first time in how many years, Islanders are locking their door?
Yeah, in the last 5 to 6 years, we're seeing people never leave keys in the vehicle, which they shouldn't, but in your own driveway, they're locking their doors at the house, they're locking their barn, they can't keep tools in sheds, work trailers are constantly getting stolen. Like, I can understand, like, it's always been bad in some parts of Canada. I understand that totally. However, look at PEI now. Things have really gotten bad when it comes to criminal code matters, violence, sexual assault,
poverty,
people not being safe in their home, and poverty.
Not being able to afford to eat.
Right,
you have food banks that have never existed. 4 food banks serving a region of 30,000 people that you never had 9 years ago. That's not happenstance. That's a direct result of policies and the cost of living crisis. Tell me the story of the woman that you met at the grocery store that's, first of all, has to work. She's a senior.
Yeah.
And what was she telling you?
Yeah. So back last fall, an elderly woman, she's probably in her 70s. She's forced to work. I'd known her for a while. She's worked there for Sobeys for probably 40 years. So I'm going through the lineup with the grocery cart, and she said, "You're Mr. Fox?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Jamie, you know, people are separating their carts." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And she said, "They're separating."
She said this was the first time she'd seen this.
First time she's seen it all the time working at
40
Sobeys.
years.
40 years.
Yeah.
And she said in the last 2 or 3 years, people are actually putting their shopping bags in between their groceries. So the stuff at the front of the cart is essential, what they need. They have to buy it for the family. Then they have their shopping bags. And then the stuff beyond that is secondary. So let's pay for this stuff to make sure we have enough money to get what we need. And then we'll look at if there's any money left, buy in what's behind the bags.
And the fact that she was working, that's another thing, right? All these seniors who can't retire because they're on these fixed incomes.
Yeah.
The cost of living is putting people into desperation mode. And that's, again, it's not happenstance to see thefts go up, all of these things when you are in survival mode. But I want to leave people with this because I want people to know, Jamie, of the work that you did provincially, but then it was passed on federally with the Conservative Party. You advocated and changed legislation that judges had to have training in sexual assault, right?
Yeah, we brought forth a private member's bill when I was leader of the opposition, requiring all provincial court judges to have sexual assault awareness training prior to hearing a case involving them type of matters. It was passed by the Legislative Assembly of PEI. It then went on back to the House of Commons, into the Senate, and passed nationally to apply to the Supreme Court. And it was a step that needed to happen, and it did happen, and it's law.
Why are you running to be the Member of Parliament for Malpeque?
People need help. I'm a veteran. I was a police officer, a small business owner, and I enjoy. People need help, and they need people to have a voice. And I've never shied away from that. And we need to help people, and it takes people to step up to do it. And I believe there's a lot more to do to help people in Prince Edward Island and Atlantic Canada that will make a real difference to people's homes.
The increase of the carbon tax that's going to come April 1st, what impact will it have here on Islanders?
Well, as I said before, everything in PEI has to be moved. We have to drive to school, we have to drive to hospital, we have to drive to get our groceries. So the carbon tax applied actually, time it hits the nozzle in your car, it's hit actually 6 times, not counting the incremental HST on that, and not counting the clean fuel regulations. So you're getting taxed multiple times. And if you probably figured out, it's probably 14 times between HST and carbon tax clean fuel for every liter going into your car when you're forced living in rural PEI parts of Southern Canada where you always have to drive.
Huge impact on an already desperate situation. And then they tax the tax. You ever see those bills? You get your carbon tax on your heating bill, and then there's a tax on that. There's HST on that. Okay, we can't keep doing this. We got to change what's going on. We're going to bring it home. We're going to axe the tax. We're going to restore the budget, not waste money, tie it to accountability and results, and bring down the cost of living. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
And make safe streets.